Guys, what's up my awesome YouTube family? So here's what happened. I don't remember what day it actually was. You have to forgive me what day. I don't know which day it was. It was either Monday or Tuesday. I was laying in bed, and over the course of a couple of minutes it became very hard for me to breathe. It's hard to get a deep breath in. I'm like, I'm not sure where this is coming from, but I'll just sit up and see if that makes it easier to breathe. So I sat up on my bed for a few minutes, and it was like maybe 8% easier, but that was it. It was still pretty hard to breathe. So I kind of was like really concerned. So I called my doctor's office, told them what my symptoms were, and I also had this shooting pain going up from like the bottom of my rib cage up to like my neck, like this sharp shooting pain, along with not being able to breathe. So I'm trying to take a deep breath. I go, like I just couldn't breathe past that point. It's really hard to explain. I called my doctor's office, and they said, I told them my symptoms, and they said, don't come to us, go to your nearest ER. They can run every test they need to run and find out what's happening and if you're okay. So the problem is I was so weak. I was recovering from an illness, and I was very, very weak. And I knew I didn't have the strength to drive myself to the hospital. Plus, I was feeling kind of woozy and lightheaded, and I thought, I can't drive myself. So I called my pastor's wife. She said to call her if I needed help with anything like that. And she didn't answer her cell phone. She didn't answer her home phone. I called my friend, one of my friends from church, and she was not feeling well either. So I texted one of my guy friends from church, told him I'm trying to get a ride to the ER, and he said, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Grab yourself, let's go. He didn't even hesitate. There was no hesitation. No, like, let me check my schedule, or let me see if I'm free, or let me see what I can do. There was no hesitation. He said, I'll be there in 5 minutes. So I grabbed my purse, my phone, my keys, and he drove me to the ER. And I told him he could just let me off at the entrance and go on, because I knew he had to go to work within a couple hours. And he said, no, I'm going to come in with you. And I'm like, no, you don't have to. I'm saying you can go home. And he's like, I know I can go home, but I'm going to go ahead and go in. And I'm like, okay. So I went in the ER, and it's just a separate ER. It's not attached to a hospital. It's just a separate ER by itself. Went in, got checked in, told my symptoms. They ran some like an EKG and a couple of the things, X-rays, all that stuff, and they said I have something called pancreatitis, and I guess it's an inflammation of your pancreas. And so I was like, okay. Sorry, I keep playing up there. I'm just looking at the, whatever. I have a hard time looking right at the camera for some reason when I'm talking. Trying to keep my eye over here on the camera. But anyway, so I went to the ran test. I had pancreatitis, and I'm like, what the? I still don't understand what my pancreas has to do with the sharp shooting pain and my not being able to breathe very well. But anyway, they discovered I had pancreatitis. They said we need to monitor you for a couple of days to make sure this pancreatitis, goes away. So they said, we're going to transfer you to the hospital in Wichita, which is the city that my dad lives in. And I'm like, okay, fine. He said, the problem is that ambulances have calls backed up for several hours. It's going to be at least 2 hours before one gets here. So by that time, my guy friend that drove me there had left to go to work, but he had been able to get a hold of the pastor's wife, and she came down and sat with me. And I mostly just slept and rested while we waited for the ambulance to show up. She actually went to she drove back to where I live and actually got some things I needed out of my apartment, which I'm very grateful to her for. And then she came back, and I was still there waiting for the ambulance. The ambulance got there soon after, and she drove her car. I rode an ambulance, of course, to the hospital. They already had a room set aside for me, ready to go. So as soon as I got there, I was put into a room and made comfortable as possible. They gave me a big cup full of ice water, which was wonderful because at the ER, they hadn't wanted me to eat or drink anything, even ice chips, because they said that whenever I'm eating or drinking, the pancreas is working to digest those foods and drinks, and they said they want your pancreas to rest. So I wasn't allowed to have any food or drink when I was at the ER after the first hour or so because they wanted my pancreas to rest. So when I got to the hospital, they had a big cup of ice water, and I'm like, oh, ice water. And they had confirmed with the ER, so they knew what was happening. They decided to go and let me have some ice water drinks. I hadn't had anything to eat in several hours. So I ended up being in the hospital for a total of about almost 3 days. And it basically just monitoring my pancreatitis. But while I was there, I had several severe, I almost said heart attacks. Wow. Several severe asthma attacks, and they were right there. They ran an EKG. They had the oxygen ready to go in my nose and all that stuff. And they taught me some breathing things I could do. They gave me a couple of breathing treatments, which I'm very grateful for. I tried to be as happy as I could, as far as like not making their job more difficult. I didn't complain about getting my blood drawn for the 3rd time in the same arm. I didn't complain about having to go and have a CT scan done. I didn't complain about them coming in at 4 a.m. to take my vitals. I tried to just be as positive as I could and make their job a little bit easier just by being a cooperative patient and not making things harder for them. So I was discharged from the hospital Friday at 6:45. And my dad and Lois were there, and they came and picked me up and brought me to their home, and basically stayed in their home with them from Friday evening until yesterday, which was Monday afternoon, because they wanted me to stay with them so I could just rest, relax, recharge, get my strength back, get my energy back, get to feeling better, be able to, because I was hardly eating anything. I mean, my appetite had just shrunk down to almost nothing, and they were concerned about my not eating enough. Believe it or not, me, a girl who loves to eat, right? So, so anyway, I try to increase my appetite, try to eat more, and try and also be a little bit more physically active, so I can get used to that. But I never had my car on me because my guy friend drove me to the ER, the ambulance took me to the hospital, and then my dad and Lois brought me back to their home. So I never had my car during any of this time, so I miss my car so much more than you understand. So I'm now back home. I woke up feeling, and today's Monday, I believe it's today's not Monday, I'm sorry, today's Tuesday, today's Tuesday, I believe it's May 11th, and I'm in my car now because I have to run a couple of small errands. But I woke up feeling quite a bit weaker than I was expecting to today. I'm not sure why, but I just woke up feeling just like at half power. So I'm just gonna do what I have to do and be very careful, take it easy, rest when I need to, relax, that kind of thing. But that's what happened. I was diagnosed with pancreatitis in the ER, sent to the hospital basically for observation to make sure that it went away. And of course, they gave me medications for that, to help it go away. And they took excellent care of me. The food, I actually was surprised the food wasn't half bad. Of course, I haven't been a patient in the hospital, an inpatient like in the hospital for 20 years at least. The food wasn't that bad. I was actually really honestly surprised. The food was not that bad at all. So I'm glad to be home, glad to be feeling better, and have my car back and be back in my apartment and have things the way I want them. And I'm sorry I have these 2 big fever blisters on my lip. They developed yesterday afternoon. I'm like, lovely, that's nice. So, but yeah, overall, I'm feeling really good. I feel like I'm in pretty good health. And I'm just trying not to overdo it. I'm trying not to do more than I have the energy for right now. My energy level's not that high. So I'm going to go and just do a couple small errands and come back home and just eat lunch and just rest and let my body just kind of just do what it needs to do. So I'm going to go and get this video uploaded because it's a little bit of a longer one. Thank you for listening to me all this time. I appreciate you. Thank you for being my YouTube family. I love you all so much, and I will see you in my next video.